What's going on, everybody on YouTube? Griffin here, coming back to you guys with another video from the Millennial Motivation Entrepreneur YouTube channel. First and foremost, before we get going, if you're new to the channel and tuning in for the first time, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below and hitting the bell icon right beside it if you haven't already. That way you'll be notified every time we go live or upload another video for you guys. And today's video, we're going to just discuss, I got a few books here, and I'm going to list a couple audio books as well that I can remember off the top of my head. We're going to list 10 books that I think you need to, be it through audiobook, through paperback, hardcover, whatever book you prefer to read or listen to, whichever way works best for you. We're just going to talk about 10 books that I think you need to read, listen, by whatever means necessary. Just get it in your head and learn from these books this year. A few of these books I've actually already read. I plan to read a couple of them again, even though I've already read them. And a few of them, I have copies of them, but I'm actually going to listen to the audio version just because, for time's sake, like I mentioned in the previous video, those of you that know me know that I'm a pretty slow reader. Just naturally, I like to kind of reread things, make sure I'm comprehending it to the full strength, essentially. So with that, we'll just go ahead and hop right in. Obviously, the first book's going to be the almighty books of them all, which is the Bible. It doesn't matter really which version you prefer. I personally do the English Standard Version, as well as the Contemporary Version as well. The King James one, I don't know. I mean, I've tried it a few times. It's definitely kind of more old school in my opinion, and it is a lot more difficult for sure to comprehend. So if you're someone like me, who I'm not gonna lie is not like the best when it comes to reading comprehension and whatnot, definitely go with either the Contemporary or English Standard Version for sure. And with that, we'll go ahead and hop into the ones I got here. So this one is kind of more so for those of you that are like in relationships and marriages, that kind of thing, or even looking to get into one, because these books, there's one or two of these here that I'm going to list that deal with like just for your relationships and whatnot. And even if you're not in a relationship yet, these books can help you in being like a better either husband in the future, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever route you decide to go down. But this one called Love and Respect, I'll pull it up here, that way you can see it, and maybe if you want to take a screenshot and look it up on Amazon or whatnot. I believe it's only like $10 or at the max like $15 at the most. Most of these books are going to be right around like $15 or less on pricing. And then of course if you have Audible, Audible gives you those credits every month, and you can get it like for free essentially just through paying your membership every month. So keep that in the back of your head too if you don't want to like spend the money on your books or whatever. But this book, it's really good for both men and women. It's not just a men's book, it's not just a women's book, it's for both. And both aspects are literally in the book. And pretty much the title says it all. It says the love she desires most, the respect that he desperately needs. And I mean, literally, like I said, the title says it all. I mean, I don't have to like go deep into it. It's actually been a little bit since I've read this book, and I plan on reading it again this year as one of my books. It's always good every year or two. If you haven't read a book and you don't remember a whole lot about it, to read it again. This one I read about 2 years ago, a year or two ago, and I am going to read it again. But for the most part, I mean, like I said, the title just says it all, guys. I mean, women desire and really need love, and affection for the most part. And then men, a lot of us tend to really want more of that respect, appreciation, that kind of thing. And that book dives in heavily into this. It's not as simple as just literally love and respect. It goes into just every aspect of like your day-to-day life and how to do so with that. So that's book number one. And then we're going to get a little bit back into finance. Of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that I'm sure a lot of you guys know by now, but for those of you that don't, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a pretty good book. I mean, of course, you're not going to agree with every single thing you read in a book. If you do, then you should probably put that book down, because you just should not agree with every single thing. Obviously, you got to use critical thinking skills. Might be a cult book, who knows? But with that, I mean, there is a lot of good information in this book. It's more so about the mindset of going from, I can't afford that, I don't want to put it on credit cards, all that stuff. You go from more of the I can't afford that mindset to how can I afford that? How can I go make the money to afford that? And this is a really good book just for mindset overall. I don't agree with everything, again, that he says in this book when it refers to debts and whatnot, but for the most part, I agree with, I would rate this book, I have a scale of 1 to 10, probably a solid 8, honestly. So just a good book, if nothing else, to just get that rich mindset and just learn from other rich people. And then another book, which I'm not going to lie, guys, I haven't read through completely 100% yet, but I am going to this year. You can see I got it for like $8 from Barnes & Noble. The reflection's kind of bad on it. But Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. This book is actually what I was referred to by a bunch of other YouTubers, and it's not even really that long of a book. It's less than 200 pages. I could probably for sure knock this out myself in for sure a month, just reading it like every other day or something like that. So I plan on reading this through. Like I said, I haven't read it completely through. I've read like 20 or 30 pages in the past, and then again just got busy with life and kind of set it down. But this is actually going to be one of the first books that I read this year. And I'll give you guys like a complete honest review of it in the future, but it is by far one of the most important books from what I've heard and from so far what I've read when it comes to just like getting a hold of your finances and learning to grow, make your money multiply, essentially. So if you're looking to just make your money work for you, essentially, I definitely suggest this book for you guys. And then another book, which I'm going to read again. I have actually read this one completely through, but this was about 3 years ago. I've had this book for a while now. It's just called Mindfulness. And again, it's one of those books where the title speaks for itself, guys. I mean, it talks about just being mindful of just your surroundings, people and like people's feelings and whatnot. It talks about reducing anxiety. I'm kind of reading off the back here a little bit. Enjoying the moment more, not always looking for like the next best thing, that kind of thing, but just taking a step back and enjoying the moment that you're in, discovering genuine happiness, and learning to slow down and find your own source of calm, as it says here. And it even has like little, throughout the chapters, as you can see, I mean, I didn't write nothing in that one, but throughout like each chapter, it'll have like certain exercises where it'll like put you in a situation and have you like jot down a few ideas. So if you're one of those people that likes a book that's kind of guided and whatnot, and you're just looking to maybe just improve your overall psychology from terms of learning to slow down and not get too ahead of yourself. Maybe you're an anxious person. I've always kind of been an anxious person myself, always looking to just get ahead, get that next best thing, just keep on moving, and it's quick to kind of just forget what all good is going on around you. This is a good book for everybody, but for sure those of you that have like anxiety, stress, are just always worried, or you're just wanting to, again, just grow your mind psychologically. Say that word 100 times. And again, I would definitely suggest you guys read that book. This one, if I remember right, again, another book that's like under $10, if I remember right. And then we got Rachel Cruz's book, which, of course, she's the daughter of Dave Ramsey. Her book, Live Your Life, Not Theirs. Again, another book where the title says it all. I read this book completely through just over a year ago. I'm probably not going to read this one this year, but I probably will. I might, who knows, but I probably will again in the next year. I just kind of read books based on like where I'm at in the year. Like sometimes in the year I'm needing to be reminded about the stuff, and sometimes I needed to be reminded to be more mindful. So I kind of just pick my books based on kind of where I'm at in life and whatnot. And same thing with reading the Bible. Like I pick verses, not verses, but certain points of the Bible that I think I need to hear, so to speak. And same thing with this book. It just, I mean, literally, it's just telling you straight up, if you're looking at your neighbor and you see that your neighbor has a brand new Infiniti, brand new Lexus, big house, just everything going, nice fresh cut green grass, all that good stuff, just remember that it's easy to look rich and actually be poor. I mean, I see this every day in my job. These people will have $500,000 to $1 million plus houses. They got brand new Range Rovers, all that good stuff, and I pull up and I'm like, man, these people I want to know what they're doing. Then I go in the house and there's absolutely nothing in the house, and it amazes me. But I mean, they're just house poor. They got so much money tied up in their house and in their car payments and all that stuff. Everything's on credit. They're busy making payments. They don't got time to worry about filling the house and all that good stuff. So that's just one aspect of it, but it ultimately is just telling you, and I mean, obviously it says right there, 7 money habits too, of just living the life you want, which of course you're going to be talking about budgeting, learning to live on less you make, getting out of debt, having that emergency fund, pretty much all that same stuff that Dave Ramsey teaches, but more of a practical, how it actually can change your life aspect, because another book that we're going to be talking about here in a second, The Total Money Makeover, lays it out on how to do each baby step. But I think this book, the Love Your Life Not Theirs, puts it in more of a practical sense. It was a really good book for me and my fiance to read, because we were almost through baby step 2. We were kind of getting lazy on it, and then we read that book and saw just how it was affecting other people's lives in a good way and whatnot, and it just kind of put us over that hump. So if you're in that step, if you're kind of in that journey, the whole debt-free journey and all that stuff, and you're kind of having a hard time, definitely pick up that book or listen to it on Audible, whatever may be you. So that is another book that I suggest. This one here, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to suggest more as an audio book, and you're definitely going to want to listen to it probably a couple times to really understand it all, because it is a very, very, you want to have good reading comprehension skills with this book. I'm sure anyone that's read this book already can attest to that. It's The 7 Highly Habits of Effective People by Stephen Covey. It's by far, again, I'm sure most of you have heard of this book at some point in your lives. There's so much good information in here. I have not ever completely read through it. The last time I picked it up, I was on like page 116, it looks like. And I'm going to have to restart it all, in all honesty. But I'm going to actually listen to this book and see if I understand, because there's a lot of stuff I was like not understanding in this book, and I'm hoping by listening to it a couple times I'll get a lot more. I'm going to take a lot more notes as I read. I read this book. I started to read this book like 3, maybe 4 years ago. I was still only, about 19 at the time. And I just wasn't taking it seriously. I'm a much better reader. I take a lot more notes and whatnot now than I ever have reading. So I think I'll have a better shot this time whenever I read this year. I'm planning on reading this here in the next few months. Hopefully by spring, summer at the absolute latest. And again, I'll keep you guys updated on all these books that I read. Which, by the way, if you're not already in our Discord group chat, that's down in the description box. It's totally free to join, super easy. All you have to do is have the Discord app on your smartphone. Doesn't matter what kind of smartphone you have, just download the app, then click the link below. It should take you right to our group, no problem. Last I checked, we have like 130, maybe even more members in there now. So it's an awesome group. It's an easy way to keep in touch with me. I try to hop in there at the minimum every couple days, at the absolute longest. I try to every day, but sometimes life just gets busy, right? But a lot of cool, like-minded people in there looking to just achieve financial freedom, of course. And then the next book, I mentioned this book a little bit ago. Of course, you knew this book was going to come up, guys. Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. This book is what did it all for me. What got everything started. Is the reason that me and my fiance literally just went and bought another car, SUV. We didn't even have to worry about selling her car. We still are selling her car, but we got to buy that car with no worries, because we learned how to do things Dave Ramsey's way. And I mean, literally, if you haven't heard of Dave Ramsey already, you probably live under a rock, unless if you're like a teenager and just starting your life and whatnot, just didn't grow up around this stuff. But pretty much, just in a nutshell, for anyone that doesn't know already, Dave Ramsey, he's totally against debt, 100% and whatnot, and he pretty much just teaches you just how to get your life together in terms of your finances. He starts off with saying just get $1,000 in a savings account as fast as you possibly can, and of course, rule number 1 is just start out with a budget. I always say this is a good book to start at the very beginning of a month. That way you can start your month off. Like, it's always hard to start a budget in the middle of the month, where if you start at the very beginning, you can lay it out saying, okay, I'm going to make this much throughout this month. I need this much to live on. I need this much for food, water, bills, rent, all that good stuff. And then from there, he says save $1,000 as soon as possible. Step 2, get completely out of debt. Step 3, finish that emergency fund with at least 3 to 6 months of expenses in it. And then you got like 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, where you're investing 15% of your money into like retirement accounts, saving for kids' college, saving for a house down payment of at least 20%. I think that's like baby step 3B, quote unquote. Just various things, building wealth, giving it away, all that good stuff. So an amazing book overall, and Dave Ramsey is actually one of the people that really turned me on to the Christian faith. I kind of grew up not necessarily a I knew I was going to be like a Christian, but my father wasn't very religious. My mother wasn't very religious as well. I had grandparents and aunts and whatnot that were religious and going to church, but I wasn't really going. I was going maybe a couple times a year, but just like following Dave Ramsey and his plan and all that good stuff really turned me on to the Christian faith. And me and my fiance, about the last year now, we've been really getting into our faith a lot more, which I'm sure you guys could tell a little bit. I mentioned it a lot more here than I did probably 1 or 2 years ago on this channel. But that's just who we are. It's all about growing at the end of the day, right? And then one of the last books I'm going to mention, this one is one that I don't have in paper copy. I've been listening to it the last week or so on Audible, is The 5 Love Languages. And that book, I suggest you, again, it's kind of like the love and respect. Even if you're not in a relationship, honestly good. If you're not in a relationship, even better, because then you can go into future relationships. You're not necessarily analyzing who you're dating, like obviously get to know them first, all that good stuff, but it allows you to go in and be able to know what love language the person you're getting with is. So just to break it down, there's like 5 love languages. There's acts of service. There's I haven't even got through them all yet. I'm on like number 3. There's the power of like giving gifts. There's words, like pretty much like words of appreciation, and that I believe is actually where I'm at right now. And then there's 2 other ones, and I will try to remember them hopefully at some point before long. Like I said, I'm on number 3 or 4 right now. But so far, I mean, I love the book. It's opened my eyes to kind of like where my fiance's love language is and how I'm trying to implement more words, essentially, like words of appreciation, that kind of thing. And like you don't realize like what is important to your spouse. Like you think in terms of what you would think is important, and you guys might have 2 different love languages. So if you're trying to give your love language, which could be say acts of service, where you appreciate when your fiance or wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you appreciate when they do the dishes, take the dogs out, whatever, you try to give them that same love back, but yet maybe theirs is words of appreciation, and you don't really say, hey, I appreciate you doing that, I love you for doing that, blah, 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 and instead you go over there and start giving back with doing stuff. It's not gonna work, and if anything, it might cause conflict, because maybe he wants to do it or she wants to do it a certain way, and you're coming in and messing it up. Instead of just saying you appreciate it, you ended up making it worse unintentionally. It's hard to explain. Anyone that's been in a relationship over a year probably gets where I'm getting at, where someone pretty much tries to do something out of love. It ends up being a big fight because the other person doesn't appreciate it as much. They still appreciate it, of course, but it turns into some sort of a fight because you're not speaking their love language at the end of the day. And that's what this book has really started teaching me. I and my fiance Taylor are both implementing it into our relationship, and I can say so far it's a work in progress. I mean, relationships are always a work in progress, of course, but I can already tell a pretty big difference in our relationship over the last few weeks, and I think you guys will too. And like I said, if you're single, even better, because then you can go in, not necessarily, again, don't go in there and analyze what's her love language. Let me take notes. Like, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Just go in there, get to know them, and then after a few months, once you see it's serious, then you can kind of start thinking, okay, and even bring it up. Say, hey, I read this book called Love Languages. I think you should read it too, so you kind of know more about me, and then, of course, I'm going to know more about you. That's something you probably want to bring up for sure within a few months once you notice that things are going up, of course. Other than that, though, I believe there's one other book I can't think of off the top of my head that I have on my audio book. One is Chris Hogan's Everyday Millionaires. He's another Dave Ramsey personality. That was one of them, which again, just it's the largest study of millionaires on the planet. They interviewed, I think it was over 10,000 millionaires, maybe even more. Just how they got rich, how they did it the right way, all that good stuff. Very interesting book overall, just to hear these people's stories. Again, it's just all about motivation and reinforcing what you need to do to win with your money and your life this year and beyond. So, like I said, there was one other book. I can't think of it off the top of my head. If I do, then I'll be sure to post another video about it, a short little video, just like a book review of it, once I can remember. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this video. I definitely want to say, because we just found out literally in the last hour about Kobe Bryant's tragic death. I don't even have words for it still. This was literally just an hour ago. Just prayers to his wife. It sounds like she wasn't even on the plane. It sounds like she might have been the only one, or it was a helicopter, I guess. It sounds like she might have been the only one not on the helicopter, but it sounds like maybe all of his daughters were. Still a lot, it's kind of a mystery right now, but prayers to all of them. Hopefully they are all okay. Hopefully none of his daughters were on the helicopter, but prayers to whoever in his family is going through all of that. And just rest up to him. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. He's one of the greatest basketball players, arguably maybe even the best basketball player on the planet. And just an overall stand-up class act. He was not great. He was great not only on the court, but also just as a mentor to many, many, many people across this, not even this country, but all over the world. He had a lot of good charitable things going on after his NBA career the last year or two. And it's just sad to see that come to a tragic end. So with that, prayers to him, prayers to his family, of course, and hopefully you guys have a good weekend. Take a step back and reflect on just everything in your life. Hopefully you have plenty of plenty of loved ones around you. Just never forget, don't take any of it for granted, because you are never guaranteed tomorrow. But on that note, hopefully you guys have a good week. Hopefully you guys are staying green for those of you in the stock market this week. And I will see you guys very soon. Take it easy, guys.